Good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining in and being a part of this evening. This is Sonali Chauhan on behalf of TCS iON. I welcome you all to this webinar we call a free masterclass on demonstration of cyber attacks. Today, we are diving into the world of cyber attacks, understanding how they are happen, the tactics used by hackers, and how organizations defend against them. Cyber threats are constantly evolving, and knowing how these attacks work is the first step in building strong defenses. In this session, we'll explore different types of cyber attacks, how they target system, how they impact they can have, how the impact they can have on business or individual. Through live demonstration, you'll get a first-hand look at how vulnerabilities are exploited and, more importantly, how they can be prevented. Whether you are from IT or non-IT background, this masterclass will give you a valuable insight into the real-world cybersecurity landscape and help you to understand the critical role of cyber defenses strategies in today's digital world. So I'm excited to introduce our expert speaker for today's session. Please give a warm welcome to Debashish Roy. Hi, Debashish.
Hello. Hello, everyone. Am I clearly audible?
Yes, you are clear.
Thank
yes.
you so much.
So I'll just quickly introduce Mr. Debashish Roy to you, everyone. Debashish Roy is a domain consultant at Tata Consultancy Services. He has completed ME in software engineering from Jadavpur University, Kolkata. He has been working with the Tata Group of companies for 18 plus years as a subject matter expert in diverse technical domains such as big data analytics, data engineering, cloud computing, architecture, data science, AI, machine and deep learning, DevOps, MLOps, IoT, and whatnot. So he has worked as a technical lead for conceptualizing and implementation of hands-on environment on the TCS iON cloud platform for higher education learning, product, and guided by multiple technical projects. So let's not wait. It's time to dive into the exclusive session. So once again, a very warm welcome, Debashish.
Thank you so much, Sonali. Thank you, everyone.
So this is just the beginning, and I'm sure you'll find today's session both exciting and insightful. Before we begin the masterclass, Devashish, I have a question for you. Could you explain what cyber attack demonstration is and why understanding of cyber attack is so crucial in today's digital world? As we have both audience from IT and non-IT background, can you share also, is it only for IT background or non-IT can also opt for it?
No, anyone who is using a digital system should opt for it because it is important whether you are a tech savvy person or you are just using it for the sake of, say, your daily activities. Today, everything is online and digital. So understanding what cyber security threats are, how you can prevent yourself, and what are the different types of attacks that you must be aware of is particularly very important. Okay, so you must have been hearing through your mobile phones and all that it's a constant like warning being given by Central Government of India that there are people who are posing themselves as say some officials or someone who is actually trying to hack your system and trying to like eavesdrop your whatever data you are exchanging and trying to like fish you in different ways, right? So awareness is the most important thing. So it does not really matter whether you are from IT background or non-IT. Understanding and working in cybersecurity domain is absolutely essential. So whether you are working with IT systems or you are working with any other business domain, cybersecurity, as long as you're doing any kind of digital transactions or you're working with digital systems, which is absolutely mandatory for everyone today, understanding cybersecurity, understanding how you can work with it and avoid cybersecurity, cyber threats is absolutely important. Okay, so that is how it is. So it is important for everyone almost.
Great. So that's really encouraging, yes, especially for those in our audience who might not come from traditionally tech background. But it's great to know that with the right mindset and learning path, anyone can step into the world of cybersecurity. So without further ado, I'll hand it over to you, sir, to begin the masterclass.
Thank you so much, Sonali. I'll share my screen. I'm getting some questions in the Q&A poll. I can see some questions coming up. So I would request the team to collate them so that after the
Sure.
session, I would be handling them. Okay. So I'm
Yes, yes.
sharing my screen. Please let me know if the screen is visible.
It's coming up.
Just 1 minute. Is my screen visible now?
Yeah, it's coming up. 1 minute. Yeah, it is visible. Yes,
Thank you so much.
Depesh.
So first of all, with the straight away to the question that is being asked, today's agenda is what is cyber attack? What are they? Types of cyber attacks. Now, types of cyber attacks, there are plenty. There are thousands. But here I would be focusing or I would be talking about some very few common cyber attacks that commonly we hear now and then. Important software tools that are used for preventing and working in cybersecurity domain. Particularly, as I mentioned, that these tools, you can work with them just by knowing commands and typing them without much going into the details of it. Only a little understanding how they perform, what they are is important. So it is not difficult whether you are from a very high tech savvy background or you have a statistical and mathematical knowledge or something like that. Just by the understanding of it, you can be a cybersecurity expert and work anywhere in your own business domain you would like to. Phases of cyber attack and a quick demo of some of them to show within the time frame. Okay, because a comprehensive demo would be absolutely extend more than 24 hours. So obviously I'll just touch upon some of the important things that we can work with. First of all, what is a cyber attack? A cyber attack refers to an action designed to target a computer or any elements of a computerized information system to change, destroy, or steal data, as well as to exploit or harm a network. So, let me just explain what they are actually. You understand that for any digital system, anyone who is trying to gather the data without your permission, who is trying to eavesdrop whenever you're transferring the data, who is trying to hack your system and get the data or steal important information or PII data from your system are part of cyber attacks. Whenever you are transferring the information in between the networks, when someone is eavesdropping or hearing it out, okay, when it is being hacked from inside, when you are either directly by using some sophisticated tools or just by using the social engineering methods, whatever is comes under the domain of cyber attack. So the idea is to either change, destroy, or steal data so that they can manipulate your private information or your important information for their own benefit. Comes under the domain of cyber attack. Cyber attacks have been on the rise in sync with digitization of business that has become more and more popular in recent years. Now you understand that in recent years, everything is digital. Whether you pay a bill, whether you transfer an amount, whether you do whatever, your online education, everything is digital. And whenever you are trying to secure something, you are using some password, you are trying to secure them. With all those different companies are coming up with different aspects of cybersecurity tools to actually protect your system. But still, whenever there are certain rules being made, there are people who are actually designing the attacks and they are always trying to find out the flaws. So you understanding what cyber attacks are and how to prevent becomes the most important one. The Logicalist of 2025 CIO, the Chief Information Officer report, has informed that across the Asia Pacific region are facing a significant challenges in malware practices and they are facing important in manage the situations in managing the critical situation in managing the cybersecurity despite of increased investment. That is what I said, that even though multiple companies are investing, but still cyber attacks are happening, cyber threats are occurring everywhere. So we need to be vigilant and we need to be informed. That's the most important thing. I would like to highlight what are the common types of cyber attacks. So first, there are multiple. As I said at the beginning, there are plenty of cyber attacks and the cyber types of cyber security threats I would like to mention. The most common ones, they can be potentially harmless, they can be very harmful, they can be anything. One of them is a very common is a denial of service and distributed denial of service attacks. Now, what is a denial of service? I'm just going to explain it. In denial of service, what happens is, say for example, in a denial of service, whenever suppose you're trying to use your web server or you're trying to use a particular, say, a system, and to say open a website or do something, suppose a kind of the cyber attack is already sending so many, say, requests, http requests over there, and overwhelming the web server and overwhelming the system in a way that is unable to perform this designated task, or it is doing so in a very slow way. So whenever, say, for example, over the network, you're trying to open something for some activity, you're slowing, you are trying to open, say, for example, a legitimate website, but suppose a denial of service attack has been launched on your system and your web server is now facing a DOS attack. In that case, what happens is, in a web browser, the DOS attack has been done. So what happens in this is, it is being overwhelmed with so many requests that is coming that it becomes difficult for you to actually access the site that you want to do. This is called a denial of service attack. Now, what is the advantage of this particular denial of service attack? The moment it slows down and you're trying to open, you're constantly typing in, it becomes much easier to eavesdrop, and it is to steal and hack the information and to block someone from reaching to the destination. So it is designed to overwhelm the system, the resource of the system, to the point where it is unable to reply to legitimate service requests. These are called denial of service attacks because the victim site is unable to provide service to those who want to access it. That is another way of doing it. Say, for example, a distributed denial of service attack, it happens when it is across a network for multiple systems. It is called distributed denial of service. Next is MITM attack. Now, this is a most dangerous attack, which is called the man in the middle attack. Okay. In this, what happens is a particular attack is launched. Suppose you are trying to open, say, for example, a system A is trying to access system B through an in between a router. Obviously, it has to use a right router or a VLAN or something like that. So a wireless LAN or an Ethernet, everyone would use the internet gateway and would go across. Now what happens is, a man in the middle attack, what happens is it launches, it actually mimics itself as a router and it gets between the two parties that are communicating. So in that case, what happens is whenever a particular request is sent, it is passed through this particular man in the middle and it is being forwarded to the target. Again, when a reply is coming back, it is coming from, suppose, the system B, it is coming to the man in the middle and then it is again forwarded back to system A. Now, system A and system B both are actually thinking that they are passing it through a router, whereas actually the router is being mimicked by the man in the middle who is actually posing himself as a router or a routing, say, hub, and is actually eavesdropping each and every information. Possibly it can only eavesdrop, or it can steal the information, or it can see all the data that is being passed across. So MITM attack is a very dangerous attack in that case. It is a type of cyber attack, refers to breaches in cybersecurity that makes it possible for an attacker to eavesdrop on the data, send back in and forth between people, network, or computers. Like whenever they're trying to communicate, man in the middle attack will try to get the data, make the data that is being transferred corrupted, or change the data as required and goes across. Phishing attacks. In case of a phishing attack, when a malicious actor sends email that seems to be coming from trusted or legitimate sources in an attempt to grab sensitive information from the target. So say, for example, what happens is it will pose itself that is coming from a very valid resource. You would open that, you would click that link, but unfortunately, it will actually take out the either it will ask for the data, it will take the money out of from the account, or it will try to do some harm. It will hack your system based on the activity that you're taking. So these are the phishing attacks. Now what happens is many a times we see that some multiple emails have come that this is you have won a lottery, or these are the most simple ones. But the most serious effects in companies, what it comes is, suppose an HR communication has been sent. Okay. Now when we open that or we click that link, it by default it looks like it is coming from a very valid resource, a valid source, and you click that particular link for something. The moment you click, you are phished, and obviously the system is being hacked and you are now into the hackers mercy to whatever they would be doing. So this is called a phishing attack. So it is a malicious actor sends email that seem to coming from trusted legitimate sources in an attempt to grab sensitive information. Phishing attack combines, it can combine social engineering technology and so-called because the attacker is in effect phishing or attacking or access to forbidden area to bait or seemingly trustworthy sender. So that is what is a phishing attack. Ransomware attack comes in. Say, for example, when a victim, or suppose a particular, it can come from a phishing attack also. Like, say, for example, a email has been sent, which is supposed to be from a legitimate sources. The moment you click in that particular thing, then you are into the attacker's system that is being hacked, and the attacker can ask for a legitimate payment, and only after the payment your systems and resources would be released, or they would be actually held by the attacker. So this is called a ransomware attack. Password attacks. Now password attacks are very common. There are multiple ways password attacks can be done. Password attacks are obviously, it is identified by multiple ways of handling. One of them is called a brute force attack. Brute force attack means what it does is it tries to guess all the passwords that is corresponding to the personally identifiable information of a particular victim. So based on any permutation combination, the password attacks can be done, which is called a brute force attack. There are certain tools also that can help in identifying them. Okay, there can be a dictionary attack. So in dictionary attack, what happens is it actually combines different dictionary words and say, for example, different combinations of the words to make to see and check that the system gets cracked. So it will the system will automatically, the softwares will automatically do it. So once you launch that attack, it will go on trying with different combinations until unless it actually break the system. There can be another thing which is called a rainbow table. So there are multiple ways password attacks can be launched and work with it. SQL injection is another type of attack. Now here what happens is SQL, as you know, is a database query language, a structured query language for databases. Now, whenever you are sharing or whenever you are firing a kind of a select statement or any kind of statement to get some sensitive information based on your authentication and authorization levels, over there, the SQL injection, what can they do is they can actually change the query to get the information that is being required by the attacker. Okay. So what happens is this comes in combination of multiple things. So what happens is, say for example, a SQL injection attack is being made where they are combining, say for example, some salary data or some personally identifiable information or something is being done. A SQL attack statement is being modified. It can be an insert statement being modified, and that can come as a result so that it can tamper the databases based on the authorization and the authentication and can change values and salaries. Now just think of an example. Suppose an employee knows that, okay, so this time a kind of a say update will run on the main employee master databases, and he knows how to do a SQL injection attack, right? And based on the authorization, somehow grabs and steals the password through password hacking, and while inserting or updates the salary to something higher amount. Now what happens is his personal information gets updated and the salary is hiked automatically due to a SQL injection attack. Can it happen? So there are multiple ways, but that's a loss to the company and obviously not ethical. So these things can happen when SQL injection attacks are done on the server and it is not protected. URL interpretation. This is another attack when you are fabricating certain URL addresses and use them to gain access to the target's personal and professional data. So what happens is, suppose you're opening a bank site, but in change, it is actually opening some other site which is looking like your bank site, but it is not your bank site. The moment you give in the password and the authentication, it redirects and retracts all the money from the account itself. So this is called URL interpretation, and it happens. DNS spoofing. In the DNS spoofing, a hacker alters DNS records to send traffic. Now, what is DNS? Whenever an IP address is being given, it directly looks up into kind of a notebook to find the IP address when the domain name is given, and likewise vice versa. Now, what happens is it opens the domain when and opens the IP address, but when it is done as a spoofed data, Say, for example, instead of giving the correct IP address, it routes it to a different wrong IP address where it is being hacked. So it alters the DNS records to send traffic to fake or spoofed website. So this is another problem. Session hijacking is another one where a particular session is hijacked and you can modify your victim's system by either inserting records or modifying files, changing files, and so on. Brute force attacks, as I was mentioning, is a name for the brutish or simple employed by the attack. The attacker simply tries to guess the login credentials of someone accessing the target system. Once they get in, they are right. They're into it. Web attacks are again threats for target vulnerabilities in web-based applications. Trojan horses, as the name, as you can understand, the Trojan horses comes across in a malicious program that looks like a normal application and it is being transferred. And then once it is into the victim system, it can actually get information and can transfer accordingly. So this is called a Trojan horse. Cross-site scripting attack, XSS attacks, or what you call is a cross-site scripting attack. In cross-site scripting attack, what happens is there is a kind of a link being given. You click that and the attacker transmits malicious script. And once the link is being clicked, it sends to the target's browser and the script is executed while hacking the system, modifying the data, stealing password, whatever. Eavesdropping, right in the beginning of the MITM attack I was talking about, that eavesdropping is something like it can intercept the data in the traffic through the network. It can hear what is happening and the password and the credentials, steal them, and it can directly work on it or act on it. It can even modify the data that is directly going across. Birthday attack, it is the attacker abuses a security feature called hash algorithms, which are used to verify the authenticity of the messages. The hash algorithm is a digital signature and receiver of the message checks it before accepting the message as authentic. So when a birthday attack is caused, it modifies the hash algorithm itself, so it does not get into the proper one, but it bifurcates it to something else. Malware attack, as you can understand, malware is a general term for any malicious software. Hence the term mal, that is called the bad. It infects a computer, changes how it functions, destroys data, spies on the user or network traffic. So malware can either spread from one device to another or it can affect only the device where it is there. Okay, so that is a malware attack. Now, these are there are zero-day attacks also. There are multiple types of cyber attacks that are available. Now, multiple cyber security tools are there which would help you to work with it. Okay, so starting from the very simple ones to more sophisticated tools that comes across to work with it. Now, HPing 3, this is simply a ping, but it has more sophisticated, it has more sophisticated uh, options to work with. Nmap is the most common one to actually see on what are the vulnerabilities in a system, which are the ports that are open, what is the OS line over there. So Nmap is more widely used. Wireshark is another tool which is used when you are actually you are trying to see the packets that are going on, what kind of packet is being transferred. Now suppose you're using a tool called a BetterCap. Okay, the BetterCap will emulate a man-in-the-middle attack, MITM attack, and a Wireshark will now see the packets that is being transferred. What happens is when you combine these two together, then obviously the password and all these things can be seen in the plain text through Wireshark itself. Metasploit framework. Now, Metasploit framework is another one which is absolutely important because what it does is it can create and hack sessions. It is a penetration testing tool. So what happens is it actually checks for multiple things. Say, for example, what is the vulnerabilities there? It can use a payload to create a kind of a situation where you can hack a session and work with it. You can check what are the different vulnerabilities. Okay, you can check what are the open ports and so on. So Metasploit framework can actually use to perform multiple activities like this. Traceroute or traceart to see what is the trace the target audience. Linus is one. WP scan is another one. Hydra can be used for password hacking. Autopsy forensic browser is another one for password. John the Ripper can be used for, again, it can be used for multiple reasons, uses. One of them can be also, you can use John to do a password hacking. Aircrack NG can be used. Wasp Zap can be used for vulnerabilities or checking that through web applications. Skipfish, SQL Map, you can use it for any sort of SQL injections and work with that. Social engineering toolkit or ACT, that can be used for any kind of social engineering to work with and get the data. Watermark, there are watermark tools which actually goes with and sees what are the threats that is being read through and to do any kind of vulnerability testing. Hashcat is another one. Veracrypt is for the encryptions that is being used. So there are multiple tools to work with. So there is no end to the tools and there are no end to cybersecurity threats. So as a professional, what you need to do is you need to master multiple of them, but you cannot master all of them. But most important ones you need to know. You need to know how to work with it, do the hands-on, and then you will be able to apply this to any of your, either the company that you would be working or for learning or doing research. It is all up to you. Okay. I would start with phases of cyber attack, but before that, I would go with a quick demo. But before that, I would transfer to Sonali for the next phase. Yeah, Sonali, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Devashish, for providing such a clear and relatable demonstration of how cyber threats can impact our daily lives. So it's evident that cybersecurity isn't just a technical concern, but it's a crucial skill for everyone in today's digital world. So I can see there are so many questions pouring in the comment section. I just want to take few questions now. So Devashish, Sumanta Jana, she's asking that I'm working in telecom and ISP. Can I move into cybersecurity? And also, she has a year gap on education. So
Yeah, absolutely.
2015, yeah,
Yeah. So I would like to take this question straight away.
sure.
Uh, yeah, definitely. See, first of all, I would like to tell you that the telecommunication industry moving into cybersecurity opens a range of possibilities, a huge range of possibilities, because this is an area, a vulnerable area where cybersecurity is the amount being invested in the telecom domain for cybersecurity is huge. Today, you might be hearing that Airtel is saying that I am improvising or implementing AI on security to protect the spam calls that would come to you. Today, VI is telling, the Vodafone Idea is telling that I am trying to protect the spam calls that is coming to you. I am implementing cybersecurity along with artificial intelligence to implement all these things. So these companies, the telco companies, are now implementing all the cybersecurity along with artificial intelligence to interpret the calls being made, to interpret the threats and protect therein. So this is a huge domain, absolutely, in today's world, and the most promising one in the coming 10 to 20 years. One thing I can tell you is that as long as computers and the digital environment is there, cybersecurity is there. There is no end to it. Okay.
So the next question, Sujit Kumar is asking how to identify MITM attack.
Yeah. So see, the thing is that for that, there multiple tools are there, and it is a long procedure to work with an MITM attack. The first thing that you need to do is how to identify. Means the moment you see that the data is not working in your favor, that means there is some aspect that is getting stolen and all, switch to security levels. That means whenever one of them is using HTTPS, the moment you are using HTTPS, what happens is it secures a first level security is applied. Although HTTP, the SSL stripping can be done. SSL stripping can be done through attacks, but still it is a one level application. Similarly, you understand that the passwords that you're using to make it complex. The moment you are doing it a very complex password, what happens is the it becomes difficult for the man in the middle attack to actually break it down. So that is another advantage. You use encryptions to work with it. You use secure channels and lines to work with it. So there are multiple things that you can use to actually work and say protect yourself from the MITM attack. And how to demonstrate and how to see an MITM attack, you can use, say, one of the tool is called BetterCap. With BetterCap, you can use Wireshark to actually see a tool that is creating an MITM attack to work with it. So once you that you go through the entire understanding of these tools and the practical demonstrations, absolutely you will also be able to do it.
Okay. So I hope Sujit got his answer. The one more question, very interesting question, Devashish. Yeah, Harshal Painse is asking, even though we have a modern tool like ORM and a way to safely handle user input, SQL injection is still a common problem in web apps today. Why do you think this is still happening? Is it because the tool aren't good enough? Developer don't know how to use them properly, or companies are not taking security seriously?
No, no, no. See, the companies are taking security very seriously. The tools are absolutely good, but the cyber security, the threats and the vulnerabilities are even smarter. Those who are launching these attacks are even smarter than how things are. So that is how the possibilities are also coming for you to create more awareness on this and develop and secure your own systems. So there comes a possibility also for you to work with it. So the investment on cybersecurity is huge, but still attacks are happening. So that means that once you are evolving something, the next step is again, they are also constantly working for launching these kind of attacks. So it goes on in a vicious cycle, I would like to say.
Great. Even Sujit was also having the same question again, that in his view, companies spend very fraction of these expending power for security, and companies themselves are not aware of many loophole present. So, Sujit, this is not true. Companies are spending millions of dollars to protect sensitive data, and they have units trying to close every loophole.
If I get back to this now, see, in my systems, since I'm using a single system, what I've done is I've used for the configuration part, I've used two systems. I'm using ideologically this system would be in a network environment, but here what I'm doing is I'm using two I say AWS VMs, virtual environments, to work with and to give you a demo. So here, one is an Ubuntu system that I'm really trying to show you, and the other is a Windows system, which is also I am showing you. Okay. Now, say for example, if I'm looking into the Windows system, and here I would like to show a very simple, say for example, if I tell you that a very simple like who is lookup. Okay, a who is lookup is like a domain lookup that you would like to do, and very easily you can get information about different say domains, what are the ports being open and so on. Say for example, if I look into this as, say for example, the site I'm opening up in the browser is whois.com, who is in the domain name or IP address. Okay, say for example, just for the sake of checking, I'm giving over there as say for example, google.com, or if I want to give, say for example, say TCS.com, a domain over there, or google.com in the beginning, okay, to look into this. If I click on search and you know this domain, it gives a domain information as the domain is google.com when it is registered, how it is expired, the status, what are the name servers, ns1.google.com, ns2.google.com, register information, register contact, and it reveals the related domain names. If you want to click on the different domain names over there, it will directly give you all the details of the pertaining to these things. So if you look into the Google, just a simple google.com on this particular site, you get all related information. So it directly gives you this. Suppose if I want to give, suppose tcs.com, okay. So you get the name servers, the information. So some amount of information, the register contact, administrative service contact, technical contact, and so on. The related information you can directly get from these particular, the who is itself. So it is a very simple kind of a freely accessible open domain site and you get through it. Okay. Now, if I look into something where I would like to showcase, say for example, just 1 minute, this. Okay. Now say for example, I want to look into a different application. Say for example, what you called is an Nmap. As we were talking about Nmap, so say for example, I'm giving, this is my IP address of this. I'm using this to log into the AWS console. It can be an Ubuntu machine, and I'm suppose using an Nmap application. Okay. Nmap, through Nmap, you can do a various kind of extensive scanning on your target system. You can understand that what are the, say for example, uh, ports open, what OS it is being using. You can use an aggressive scan using Nmap and find out all the details, the vulnerabilities of the system, how you can get into it, and so on. So this you can do through Nmap very easily. Okay. Similarly, you can test if the moment you know what are the ports open, how vulnerable the system is, you can launch an attack and get an entry through that particular port and do some kind of penetration testing, can hack that particular port, gain a shell, and can manipulate whatever you want to. Okay. So say for example, I want to check sudo nmap hyphen, I'm giving the option as O hyphen V, and I'm using scanme.nmap.org. Now this is a target, it's a demo site, scanme.nmap.org. Okay. Now see, it is directly giving you a still scan. It is specifying. Now look, discovered open port is 80 TCP. Discovered open port is 22 TCP. And it has given you all the options. That is the open port, state, and the service. It specifies that 22 is an open port, 25 is a filtered SMTP port, 80 is an open port for HTTP, 9929 is an open nping echo, and these are the open ports over there. So Nmap can be, actually it can be like, can be used extensively to scan the target system and gather all vulnerability details, so that the next step can be launch an attack on the system through these ports which are vulnerable, and you can get into it. Okay, say for example, there is another way, say I want to do, say sudo, I want to use Nmap. Now look into this. I want to use Nmap and I want to see the Windows system that I was using. But Nmap uses what you called is a, I'm using this IP address, so I'm copying this down. Uses, suppose it does not have the ping facility. It does not have the ping facility because I have not given the ICMP protocol as an input. I did not do that. So I did not allow the ICMP inbound in the security rules of this software. I knew it, so I did not do it. So what I'm doing is, if I give like this, so now Nmap could not actually get the details and is showing that it is not working. Now what can you do? You can use the PN. When the ping is blocked for systems, still you can, just 1 minute. Okay, so sudo nmap, suppose I'm giving minus PN and I'm giving over there as 3.110.107.192. Okay. Now the moment I'm giving this, it is actually blocking these tools. It is doing some kind of things. So now, initially without this option, it could not penetrate. But now with this, it could find out that this has 3389 TCP open MSWBT server, and it could directly get into it. Okay. So this is, there are no other open ports. So it is absolutely, say, for example, safe and secure, but still you could actually get into it and get some details. So this is the power of Nmap. Now say for example, let me create an environment where I would like to create some vulnerabilities. One query I just found that why did they make such information public? Okay. Now the thing is that they did not make such information public. It is the tool that has gathered through the crawl through the web to gather such information and is presenting to you. It is not a public information so easily. So just without using the specific tool, you will not be able to gather these informations. That is what I'm talking about as the leakages and the threats that you're directly using it. Okay. Now what? Now let me create a vulnerable system through a Docker application, which suppose I'm using what is called a Metasploitable framework. Yes. How to go through an open port? I'm coming to that. So for that, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to create a vulnerable system. Say, for example, let me use Docker I've installed. Now, what is Docker? Docker is a container-oriented service. You can create a Docker container, which will act like a different system. Now, obviously, these tools are for testing within the system and work with it. If you use these things, and say for example something goes wrong, obviously you will be held responsible. So it is better to test them within your own system or within your own created environment. Otherwise it can be a criminal offense if you are trying to intrude in someone else's situation. Okay, so sudo docker, suppose I'm going to create this as network, sudo docker network. I would like to create a network called vulnerable. Okay, within this vulnerable network, I would like to use an option called attachable. And I'm trying to create a subnet. These options are actually, the queries are coming and blocking my screen only. Anyway, the subnet, I'm giving suppose 10.0.0.0/24. That means it can go to any option, starting from 10.0.0.1 to 23, the entire thing. Okay, so I'm creating a subnet in this particular range. So this is being created. Now what I want to do is, now I want to create a vulnerable system. So I'm creating, suppose create, sudo docker run -it. IT is interactive. We'll obviously explain these to you. The network that I've just created is called vulnerable. I've given that name, then it can be anything. -IP, whatever the IP name I want to specify, I can write it there. 10.0.0.3, suppose I'm giving over there for the system I'm creating. -name, I'm giving the name as Metasploitable. Now, what is Metasploitable? Metasploitable is a vulnerable system I'm trying to create so that I can do some kind of testing on this. -host name, I'm giving the name as Metasploitable2. And this is a Docker container. I want to open a bash shell. Now this would take some time because it will actually get the image, the Docker image, and it will directly load it and make it run. Once it is up and running, it will directly start working with it. In the meantime, what I will do is I will open another terminal and launch a framework which is called a Metasploit framework. Okay. Okay. So SSH -i. I'm using Ubuntu @ and the IP address of the system that I'm trying to find out. So this is the IP address. To launch. Let me check the IP address once more. Yeah, so logged in. Now here one is where the new image, the Metasploitable 2, as you can see, is there up and running. If you give an ls, this is a system. And here I'm using another system where I would launch the MSF console. MSF console is launching the Metasploit framework. Now, the moment you are using a Metasploit framework, this can do a lot of scan. This can work with multiple vulnerabilities and work with it and get into it. So I'm using our MSF console, which is called a Metasploit framework, to work with it. Okay. Now, once you are into a Metasploit framework, what I can do is I can check. I can open another terminal, or I can do one thing. I can launch a kind of a check on that particular system, the vulnerable system, and see without using nmap that what are the ports that is open and vulnerable over there. Okay, so I want to do a kind of a scan on the port scan without using nmap, just by using the Metasploit framework. Okay, so what I can do is I can specify it over there as, say for example, search port scan. The moment it gives you all the kind of port scan modules that are available in Metasploit framework. Suppose I want to do a TCP port scan. Okay, so TCP port scan, how do I do it? I can use this, copy it. Use is the command on this. I've given this TCP port scan and directly gives you this. Now see, if you look into the show options, it will directly ask you that what are the different things that you want to make. Okay, now what are the different ports that you want to scan? What is the target IP address, that is the R host for whom you want to scan, and so on and so forth. Okay, so R host is blank. Ports that I want to give, I want to specify in the set port, and then I will know that what are the vulnerable ports are there in the target system, which I can directly scan and work with it. Okay, so say for example, I'm specifying over there as set RO host, set R host as the command, and the IP address I've given as 10.0.0.3 because that is what is running. So R host 10.0.0.3 I have specified, and say for example, the port I want to mention as, say, set ports. I want to mention the port up to, say for example, let me take this 22 to 50, say 80, or say 75. Okay, fine, doesn't matter. 75 to say 200. Okay, let me scan this. And say for example, I want to scan something around, say, okay, let it be up to this. So set ports, I've done this. Now, if you look into this control L I'm giving, I want to specify show options. If you look into this, see, this is the modified port. This is the host that I want to scan. So now, if I want to understand that how it actually accesses the system and what are the open ports and so on, I can use one particular command called exploit. The moment it is using exploit, it directly specifies that what it is doing. So it has identified that 10.0.0.3 scanned of one host, 100% complete. It could find this down. Okay. Now, if I go through the nmap, if I go through the nmap, sudo nmap, and if I give over there as 10.0.0.3, and here I want to specify minus capital A, which is called an aggressive scan on this. And if I hit an enter, it will start finding that what are the things that it is working on. So Distance, it is found as one hop route and is specified the IP address as 10.0.0.3 as a part of this entire thing. Okay. So this is one VM. This is one running over there with the Metasploitable 2. And with the Metasploit framework, you can look into multiple area where you want to find out what they are. Now, say for example, I want to give you another example of using the Metasploit framework, sudo msf console. Suppose you want to do some other kind of scanning. Okay. There are modules for which you want to say, for example, block denial of, you want to do a denial of service attack. So see, there are modules over there, which is called, if I give over there slow loris, which is another module. So you can see that auxiliary DOS, denial of service, HTTP slow loris. It is a denial of service attack that you can do on a particular system that you want to work with. Okay. Now, showing a complete service or showing a complete attack would take some time. So I'm showing you the individual modules and the systems that normally being used to work with this. Okay.
Um, Debashish, before that, can we take few questions from the audience?
Yeah, sure. I'm stopping to share my screen.
Sure. So, audience, thank you so much for putting all the questions in the chat. So we'll just take one by one. Debashish, Om Srinath is asking, good afternoon, sir. I'm currently a student of BBA. My question is how cybersecurity is done by ourselves and how to make other aware and what scope are in cybersecurity. So basically, Om Srinath, this is what we are talking about. The scope I already covered the program which TCS iON is having, where once you complete this certificate program, there are so many career paths available, job roles available. You can opt for it. So please, we have already put the link in the chat. So go through it, and you will get to know. You enroll for the course, and you will see the bright future ahead. Debashish, would you like to add anything in this? If you want
Yeah.
to add anything, yeah.
See, the thing is that once you become go through a particular certification in cybersecurity, along with the qualification that you have.
So Mohan Vupalapti is asking, cybersecurity is essential course. So how many days a week this course will run? Timing, please. So Mohan,
Yeah.
as I said, it will run 1 weekday and 1 day in a weekend. So that way, according to all students' availability, once you enroll for the course, you will get to know about the timings and everything. Again, Hani AI is asking, how will we deal with AI in nowadays? And can cybersecurity confront any AI crimes? Devashish, this is for you.
Yeah, absolutely. See, the thing is that the tools now that are being used in cybersecurity are getting AI enabled. Okay. So today, artificial intelligence is being used extensively in cybersecurity tools to build a model to identify and segment, create a segment and segregate the types of crimes or the cyber threats that are coming in. So it is now much faster with the advent of AI. The cybersecurity threats are being identified, segregated, and the corrective actions being taken. So artificial intelligence is now an integral part, is working with the cybersecurity tools. And once you go through cybersecurity, machine learning, and all these things are integrated with it, so it covers all related to cybersecurity domain.
Devashish, Vikash is asking, what roadmap a fresher should follow to get break in the field of cybersecurity?
Yeah. So the thing is that you need to understand, first of all, what are the cybersecurity, the challenges, how you can work in this particular domain. You need to master some of the definitely required tools that are used in the industry and how you can work with it. Once you understand and have a good hands-on exposure, now this is very important. Theoretically, many people can talk about multiple cybersecurity tools. These are threats, these are cryptography, these are how you prevent, protect, etc. But until and unless you know how to implement them straight away, your job, you have to like showcase your talent in implementing them. That is where the hands-on effect comes in, and the latest industry oriented tools that are regularly being used needs to be used and updated by you. Once you know them, once you know how to work with the tools, how you can handle them, you are good to start your career. Okay, so the concept along with the latest tools are essential to start your own career in cybersecurity. Okay, and as a straight away you can apply as a cybersecurity engineer, and then gradually as the days and your experiences you can become a specialist and can go on a cyber domain expert and so on itself. And today if I start showcasing them, so coming down to the phases of cyber attack. Okay, now see, cyber attack has multiple phases. This is the theoretical aspect that you need to know. Now, one is called the reconnaissance, which is called the adversary identifies and selects a target. Like, say, for example, when I was using the Metasploit framework and I was trying to find out the vulnerabilities over there, I want to try to find out which are the systems which are active and what are the vulnerable ports. So I want to target those systems to attack, weaponize. It specifies the packages and exploit. Say, remember, I was using a kind of an exploit before launching the attack to create a payload designated. Say, for example, I want to do a VSFTPD attack. What is that? I want to use an FTP server and hack an FTP server. Or say, for example, I want to use a slow loris module of Metasploit and I want to do a denial of service attack. So I would understand, create my target host, then I would weaponize, select my weapon, put the payload, and then deliver. That means I can use another tool which is called MSF Venom and test and deliver it to the target system. Okay, then I would exploit. The moment I exploit, I can hack a shell. Obviously, during the sessions, when we have enough time, we'll see how we can actually create an exploit, hack a shell, and can absolutely like hack an environment, and we can actually transfer information, modify their target files, and so on. That will definitely happen when we take a full session to show you how you can do these aspects. Then install. If I want to install something, remote access softwares, or modify them, we can work with it. Command and control. That means we can take a complete access to the target system and can change and make a command and control channel with a compromised device and do whatever we feel like. So whatever the user is seeing, targeting, changing, you get to see everything and you can modify them if you want to. So you are the act on objectives. That is whatever you want to do. You can specify your attack, weaponize, and can find the target and like do the malpractices that you want to do. So you can specify the pursue the intended objectives, which can be obviously of not a good intent, obviously, and can do data exfiltration or lateral movement to other targets and so on. You can do everything through the phases of cyber attack that you go through. So these are the different phases, and obviously we can we will, while we are taking a session or certification program or anything, these are absolutely hands-on based. So we'll use these different tools to actually launch all these phases and see how it works. Here, we will work as the ethical hacker and a penetration testing we will do, so that it is the like we want to secure our system, so we want to find out vulnerabilities. But obviously, when it is a real world cyber attack, they will not have the intent of preventing, rather launch an attack. Okay, that is the difference. So that is how it is, and we have to understand what these things are, practice them, understand the tools, and both with the aspect of the cyber security from the point of securing the system of your company to the effect of your own career potential and path. This absolutely gives you a great option to work with it.
So thank you so much, Debashish, for this wonderful masterclass. So audience, what we are seeing here is a glimpse of what actually happens behind the scene in many organizations. So it's just not about hackers sitting in a dark room. It's about how one small gap can lead to a big problem. Sometimes it's not even about complex attacks, just a lack of awareness. So that's why these kind of sessions are very helpful. So we know what to watch out. Whether we are in tech or non tech, everyone should be aware of it. So, with